that's happening.
We are live. On air, some might even say.
YouTube needs your what? Okay. Does this have a? No, I don't actually want to do that. Never mind. Stop.
Stop what?
Did I turn that on even? Okay. Here's the song. This is the Gregory Brothers. This might trigger a. It shouldn't trigger a copyright thing, but
You never know.
it doesn't mute us. I don't think.
Paste down my face, on my hair, on my shirt. She looks at me, and I look at her.
I gotta find. You gotta watch the video because it's always
Interesting.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do now.
You know, yeah.
I see what you're throwing down.
Yeah, I had a thing just barely that said share your screen. Oh, here it is. It says screen share. Look at that. Here we go.
We got links here. Hey, 0. So we want to share
that business.
Should we share this business? Event page. Like people should be able to just jump in, right?
I believe so. Watch, we're gonna do this. All of this build up, and then nobody's gonna show.
Yeah. Well, I said we're live, folks. We are right now.
Did you tell the line people too?
I did, but I'm hoping they know how to jump in here. Do you have line on your laptop there?
I have it on my phone.
Do you want to snag? I guess we need to go right into the YouTubes.
Oh gosh, that was gross.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
Your life is your life. So there's life. The gods wait to delight in you. It meets the darkness. You're marvelous. Who's pretending to be who? Your life is your life. The force, the repetitions. Don't let it be club. And it takes a
Hey, I was there.
Get to the point where anyone else will quit.
Where?
You're gonna wake up.
The Globe Theater.
Just do it. Nothing is impossible. Just do it. Yesterday you said tomorrow. Just do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams. The more often you do it, the more like there will be. The more like there will be.
I love the Gregory Brothers, dude. So funny.
I started to brush.
All right, good enough.
I started to blush.
Where'd it go? Stop.
I don't know.
Stop. Okay, stop sharing.
It's intense though.
It's hilarious. Just do it.
Do it.
Just do it.
Do it.
Do
you want to throw that? Do you want to throw the link in the line chat?
Link. Where's my link?
Or can we just go straight to YouTube and is it there? The YouTubes. Very nice.
Just do it.
I don't see us live right now.
Are we live?
Well, we are, but on the YouTubes. Because the YouTubes does a different kind of recording, doesn't it? I don't know. We got some notifications here. What's going on? Added you to circles. That's great. Thanks. Let others know. Let others know you arrived. Yeah, I want to say that.
Nintendo dads.
You want to just, you know what? Maybe we'll just tweet out
Just do it.
Just copy the link and tweet
People
that.
End up just
doing it. Just do it.
Just do it. Nothing.
Do it.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
Dreams lead the way.
Yeah.
Twitter, why are you so slow? We are live right now for our first hashtag Patreon.
I think we just open it up to everybody.
Yeah.
So
come join us.
Come and join us, everyone. Kristen Hodson sent a message. Who is Kristen Hodson?
When was this?
Oh, this is old. Never mind.
We got lots of emails.
Holy cow, dude. Do we ever?
I haven't even put them all in the doc. Control V? Yeah, there it is. Tweet.
Dude, this Easy Flash is
you're an easy flash. I don't I don't even know what that means.
How do we join? Brian Welch asks. He asks.
We sent him a link.
Can we put it? I don't have a link to the thing again.
It's in the Twitter. I just tweeted it.
Okay, I'll just tell him.
It just went to the
tweeted out
tweeters.
a link.
Then I'm hoping he can just jump in there and just chat her up. Chatty chat.
We're working out the kinks this month since it's our first time. Be gentle.
Yeah.
First time.
Don't hate us too much. We're trying here, folks. Do you see the it's not really news. I don't want to talk about our news section today. Actually, I've got a couple rants. Got a couple rants for our first Google Hangout.
What on earth?
First rant? Want to hear my first rant
Is it a real rant? Like, is there a rule about no Nintendo stuff on the Nintendo Dad's Patreon Hangout?
I don't know. This is
just
sort of Nintendo related, but it's not really. It's parenting related. It's kids related. It's generational related. Let me tell you my rant.
Is it? Are you starting with kids these days?
You know what? I was going to start off with kids these days. Kids these days don't know how sweet they have it.
Okay, somebody's ringing. Hang on.
Who's ringing?
I'm going to let you finish, but...
Do we accept a call?
Incoming video call from Brian Welch.
Do it. Connect.
Yeah, but it's on my phone. What am I supposed to...
Is it on Skype or Hangout?
I don't know. It was on Hangout.
Well, let's let him in.
See, I think that might be the problem is we may need to collect people's information before we do this.
No, it says Brian just joined this call.
Oh, hey.
Hey, there's Brian.
Oh, we know how to do this.
Yeah, I was going to say, this isn't our first rodeo.
Nice.
That is a beard.
A beard in the house.
Wow, that is impressive, Brian Welch. What is going on?
I actually just took about a half inch off today.
Oh, geez, Lord Thunder Murphy.
What's going on, guys?
Nothing much. We're just giving this thing a first go at it. Yeah, that's kind of about it. What about you? Now, you're located on the West Coast U.S., right?
Yeah, I'm in Boise, Idaho.
What's going on in Boise, Idaho?
Not much. Just
my sister lives in Boise, Idaho.
Oh, really?
Well, she lives in Hidden Springs, actually. But,
oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I've got a family living out there, so right on, man.
Cool.
I rather enjoy how completely contradictory your video is versus your actual icon on Google Plus or Google. It's a clean-shaven man with a row of hair.
Yeah, that was when I had my afro.
That was pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
So what's going on? What do you want to talk about, Brian? We're open. It's just
me right now.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I know I had kind of a more like Nintendo question, but I also just kind of had like a personal question for you guys if you're up for it.
We'll take it all.
I was just kind of wondering. I know you've talked a little bit about, or there's been like little bits here and there, but like I know like Zach, you're going to school, but yeah, I'd just like to get to know a little bit more about what you guys do outside the podcast.
Sure, Zach, you want to lead us off?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to the University of Alberta. It's a counseling psychology program. And yeah, so I'm in my first year up in Canada, or especially in Alberta. It's only required that you get a master's before, and then there's a bunch of other stuff to register to be a psychologist. But I think in the States, everywhere you have to have a PhD to become a therapist. That's not the case here, so
we're much looser about what we call doctors.
Frankly, if you look at the research too about what is like does more education past a master's level, does that make for a better therapist? The answer is actually no. Like there's a lot more. There are other things like, are you a decent person? How are your interpersonal skills? And experience actually, like educational experience, doesn't change that. So
yeah,
which is nice that they, the program's easier. So I'm about halfway through that, and it's the end of semester. It's just crazy right now. So
yeah.
but yeah, so I'm doing that, and yeah, 2 kids.
Probably stay pretty busy then.
Yeah, that's, I was gonna say that. I don't know. Things to distract myself. That's literally about all I do. So
Yeah, right on.
yeah.
For myself, so what I do, Brian, is I actually work for Sun Life Financial US, interestingly enough, and I'm located in Alberta, Canada, and I work as a corporate trainer. So that's why sometimes I'm in Boston or I'm up in Ireland, is because we have head offices up in that area. So I spend a good chunk of my time training or traveling to those locations and actually training, whether it's leadership development or employee development, like soft skills or even technical training. So by the way, you're a new employee, here's our systems that we offer, and let's teach you this. So that's kind of interesting being a Canadian working for an American company. That's always some very interesting parts there. For myself, for education, I actually hold a theater degree. I went to
Oh,
school
wow.
to actually be a theater teacher. I wanted to teach elementary school theater, or sorry, high school theater, and unfortunately did not graduate with my education degree. Only graduated with a theater degree, and I didn't really want to pursue the life of being a theater actor. Wasn't really conducive of kind of actually raising a family, and my wife and I got married, so that was not really a good idea. So we decided to stay in Lethbridge. Lethbridge is not known for its theater community.
What is it, Lethbridge? What?
Lethbridge playgoers.
It's not the west end of Alberta.
No, it sure is not.
Have you had the Have you been at any of the plays in Lethbridge?
I have, yeah. I've done a couple shows for Lethbridge Playgoers, which is all community theater, so it's not paid for theater. So it doesn't really pay the bills, or didn't pay the bills in any way.
It's fun. I've been in a couple of plays too.
Nice.
Where were you in?
I was in the 39 Steps. I was in the Mousetrap. I was in.
Is the Mousetrap basically just like a huge version of the board game?
It felt like it. Ironically, with the Mousetrap, the funny part about that was that I didn't audition for the show at all, and 2 weeks before the show went up, I got a call randomly, and they said, we hear you're an actor, you're kind of meeting what we need, or you kind of meet our need. You're recommended by some people. Could you jump in and fill a role for us? And I said, you know what? I've got some time, sure. What's the role? And the guy's like, it's just a small role, a couple lines. It's perfect. I was like, okay, cool. I didn't know the Mousetrap, the show. I get the script, it arrives to me. Yeah, the jerk completely lied to me. It was like one of the lead roles, and required me basically in 2 weeks to memorize. I think it was basically 70 pages of dialogue.
Wow.
It was a bit rough. So that was that. But I have a theater degree. I put that to use a little bit, and it's also kind of why I do a little bit of voice work. Do a little bit of voice audio, or I've been trying to build my portfolio in voice work. So that's fun. And then I actually have a second degree, which is actually adult education. And I recently received that about a year and a half ago, and that's specifically about how you train and teach adults as learners. So that's kind of really aligned with corporate training, which is obviously what I do. Nice. And currently, I actually work from my home. My office that we used to have in Lethbridge is closed down now, and what you see behind me and around me is literally my office for work. I just added a bamboo plant back there recently, so that was great. That's
moving up, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm moving up in the world. So that's essentially what I do. My free time, kind of like Zach, I've got 2 kids, 5 and 7. They're pretty active with dance and swimming, so that's a good time. But if I actually try and get out and have my own free time, when it's not like hanging out with the guys to go for a pint and go for a movie and whatever, I try and actually go and play a bit of squash. I like doing that in the free time when I have it. Like a little bit of exercise. I'm not super fit, but at least kind of. I just try and find someone like fatter and slower than me. I usually feel like I'm doing all right for myself.
Man, next time I'm down.
Yeah, well,
I have never done that before in my life. Like the
squash
thing. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's a different kind of cardio, but it's very it sounds silly, but it's actually very strategic. It's kind of like a moving man's game of chess, right? Because it's all about positioning and where someone else is, knowing where they are, how you play a ball, and then
it kind of looks like full body ping pong.
It sort of does. It does, yeah. So, but Brian, what about yourself? What do you do?
I work for the state legislature here.
Oh, wow.
I do it's called program evaluation. So we look at sort of evaluating whether state programs or policies are meeting their intended goals or outcomes. So we do like cost benefit analysis and sort of systems analysis. So at my education, I got a master's in public administration, and I'm actually halfway through my PhD in public policy. So
Oh wow.
I'm working full time, but I'm kind of taking classes slower, so it's taking me a little longer to get that degree finished up. But I think by this time next year I'll have my at least coursework done, and then I'll move into my dissertation phase. So
That's pretty awesome. I
yeah,
like that. That's really cool. And you've got a couple of kids, am I right? And I'm not,
yeah.
I'm not like super creepy here. Like I didn't like
No, but
I think
I've
it's
Whistling you in the background.
no, I've written about, I've written in questions or whatever. Yeah, I've got a 6-year-old boy and a 9-year-old girl,
Oh wow.
and they're the Wii U and the 3DS. That was like their first system, so it's been fun kind of getting them exposed. We waited a little. I think my youngest was, I think, just turned 5, I think, when we got the Wii U, so that was kind of his first exposure to it. So yeah, it's been fun
Nice.
playing all the old games and all that kind of stuff.
Isn't that such an odd thing when you think of like that being their first console, right? Whether it's the 3DS or the Wii U, right? I was talking to Zach a little bit about this before kind of my rant, but I was at my daughter had a gymnastics class, and there's like a lot of gymnastic class going, and obviously some mom had brought 3 of their sons waiting for their daughter to finish, right? And they all sit down, and they all sit in front of me, and they pull out their iPods and their iPads, and they're playing.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing one of them was like, "Oh, there's no Wi-Fi in here. Sucks. Oh man." And I was like, "You have no idea how good you have it." I'm like, "Have you ever swapped out, 4 AA batteries on a car ride and hovered around a console this big, and your eyes hurt, and you're afraid to blink, or you have to buy add-on pieces to make it look like goddamn Frankenstein creature?" I'm like, "Shut up about your Wi-Fi, buddy." I was like, "You don't know how good you have it." Or you'd have to be like, "Oh, we're going on a road trip," and you'd grab this like sleeve of cases of games.
Oh yeah.
With your Game Boy that you'd like truck along with.
I remember too, I was several times I had been we were on a road trip or whatever, and my batteries on my Game Boy start to die. This is like old, like even the Game Boy Color didn't have this anymore, but when the Game Boy would start to die, the contrast ratio would start to get worse.
Oh, right.
Your battery is bad when contrast is turned all the way up and it's starting to
And
come on, I gotta beat the Elite Four,
It reminds me so much of because that red light would come up right on the right-hand corner of the screen, that little red circle, as I recall.
It was always on, and then it would start to get dimmer and dimmer.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. I equate that to now, like when you're driving on a long car ride and you look down at your gas meter and you pass the last gas station and you've got like, as soon as you pass it, the light comes on, it's like you got 50 kilometers, and you're like, that next gas station's got to be the next 45 kilometers. And you're like, "Please God, I got to make it to the next save point," right? Like that anxiety you have with that.
Well, you like save it, and then I would like save it, and then take the batteries out and twist them around, like rotate the battery.
Oh wow. Wow.
Because it's like, we got like an hour and a half left of this car ride, and we don't have any more.
I just remember when rechargeable batteries first came out, they were kind of expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we got some, and it was like a big deal because you were going through like double A's all the time, and then to get the rechargeable batteries, that was like game changer.
Yeah, that was crazy stuff. You're like, I am set. Like, Mom, this is a high cost investment right now, but it's going to save you money and the environment. So let's do this. Yeah.
I was even talking to my kids recently about just, and this isn't even that long ago, but like just wired controllers, having to be kind of tethered, like 5 feet away from the television or whatever, and so yeah, it's a lot different. I still have my SNES, so every now and again we'll get that out and play with it, and they think it's funny. But they've played a lot of those games like on the virtual console. But it's just it's weird to think about that. Wow, like this is they're gonna look back and like this is gonna be the time when they're like nostalgic for Pikmin 3 or whatever it is.
So weird. I was watching a whole bunch of videos of just on YouTube of people counting down like I can't remember. It was like a retrospective. It was a lot. What it was it was a live retrospective thing that was given at a con, all about the history of Pokemon, and he's going through all the different generations or whatever, and I can't remember if it was Diamond and Pearl or Black and White, and this huge eruption from the crowd of like, yeah, that was my first one, and I'm like, that was on the DS, man. What? That was like 6 years ago. How is that a thing?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
It's embarrassing when I hear someone say, "Yeah, I'm kicking it old school. I'm playing my 64 right now." I'm like, "Shut up."
Yeah.
Shut up. So, what games do you play with your kids?
Right now they're really liking Lego Dimensions.
Nice.
They
have
play.
you bought in? Have you bought in a bunch to that?
For Christmas they got a couple of the what do you call them, like the team packs,
Mm-hmm.
and slowly I've been getting some of the level packs, but that's pretty much it. Like we haven't been going all out on like the character packs and stuff. So I think we have 3 or 4 of the level packs. And to me, and I've been trying to get them, like GameStop will have them on sale or whatever. I've been trying to justify it that way, but because the level packs, even though the levels are kind of short, I can at least somewhat justify that because you're opening up another world and there's more content than just like unlocking another player. So yeah, they still play like Nintendo Land like at least once a week. They love going back to that. I picked up some of the Donkey Kong games that were on the what do you call that? The selects. So they've been playing like Tropical Freeze a lot lately. They play a lot of the Minecraft on Wii U. They love that.
Oh. That's kind of gone quiet since since they announced it. Like we haven't heard about what Nintendo's skin packs are going to be for that.
Yeah, I keep asking my kids, like, have you seen anything like on the startup menu, Nintendo related, and it still says like coming, still coming or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was I going to say something about that? How are you guys liking them? Sorry, how are you liking Minecraft on the Wii U? Are the kids liking it?
They like it just because like the only other way they played it before was like on the iPad. So they really like just being able to both play at the same time. Before they were just sort of doing it like single mode. So that yeah, I mean they'll if you don't stop them, they'll like play for hours. Just and they're not even really. They're doing a little bit of building when they do it together, but they're mostly just like exploring. I still don't understand that game. I've never really sat down to play it, but God, they love it. They have a ton of fun doing it.
So you kind of raise a good question that it'd be interesting to kind of know, like, how do you manage screen time? With kids?
So during the week, because they're both in school, they get 30 minutes of screen time a day after like their homework's done, and they can if they want to do Wii U, 3DS, or iPad, they just get to decide how they want to do that. And then
like that with my son because he's just in kindergarten, but he comes home.
my first grader, he'll be like, well, I spent 30 minutes on playing the 3DS, so now can I get 30 minutes on the iPad? It's like, no, 30 minutes, and you get to decide how you want to do that. And then on the weekends, we're a little more free. As long as they get like some chores done, they can play a little longer. But it's mostly during the week that we really try to, curtail it a little bit.
How was implementing that originally? I know that's one of the challenges. I think maybe Zach is kind of what you're alluding to. I know that's one of the challenges that we're kind of having with our kids is I want to say implementing that properly, but just I feel like it's easier to be like, oh, I'll give you another 10 minutes, I'll give you another 15 minutes, right? And I feel like I've got to create like a more regimented schedule of like, you come home, you got to get these things done before we can do that, right? And I think me as a parent, like by the time I'm done my work, and although it's from home, by the time I'm done, I'm kind of just tired. I'm like, I don't really want to fight with you. Just take another 15 minutes if you want and done with it. But I feel like it's it's great parenting.
Yeah, it's not a hard 30, like especially like if they're watching like something on Netflix or whatever. If they got another 10 minutes, we'll let them finish it. But we've been doing it for such. You do just kind of have to make it a routine, and after a while, they kind of fall into it, and they kind of get a sense for how long 30 minutes is, so they're not gonna, launch into like, take a lot of time.
Yeah.
So
So
feel too with that too. Like I feel like sometimes I almost have a harder time training myself to be consistent than actually training them.
yeah.
Where it's like, I don't know, do I really want to have to be this consistent with it? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I totally see the value in it, but it's just like, man, like so exhausting to have that.
it's easier to do when they're in school and they come home, they have a routine where you got to make them, they have to do their homework or whatever. It's a lot harder in the summer and on the weekends because there's no there's not a time when they're gonna like do certain things.
Yeah. So my girls are home this week for Easter, and God bless my wife. She said today, she goes, we are going to do a no screen day.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
no, like this ain't gonna like.
How about an afternoon?
Right. But I will tell you, they did an entire day without screens. And near the end of the day, we just came back from swimming. My wife kind of got on her phone because she had saw a text that came in, and my oldest goes, "Mom, it's a no screen day. Put it away." I was like, "Wow." So it was, and it was interesting just how and the girls were. I mean, putting them in front of an iPad or a TV or a Wii U or whatever, it's easy to do that, right? But I was really happy that their playroom is just kind of next door to my office, and so I hear them chat, and I'm like, I wonder what they're doing, and I go, and they're just on the floor playing Lego, and I was like, that's brilliant, right? Like that's what you want them to be doing, and like I didn't hear any whining of like, Dad, can we have Netflix on in the background? There's like they played Lego for almost like an hour and a half. I was like, are we the enablers of screen? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is like as bad as it might be, like just sit down. I don't want to have to entertain you right now. Entertain yourself, and this is the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
It's an easy trap to fall into, and I think part of it too is especially with us it's a little bit different too because mine are 5 and 3, especially with the 3-year-old. There's like I think kids kind of around that age haven't learned how to play yet, as far as like how to play with toys, and so her version of playing with toys is just like undumb. Okay, why do I have like a million notifications? How do I turn that off? Like basically, how do you like her version of playing with toys is literally dump out all the toys and then just walk around in them,
Godzilla-esque.
Come on. So and like she's got like 3 different grandmas and so many toys. It drives like my wife and I are actually like, you know what? Maybe we should we're not gonna throw these toys away, but maybe we'll just put a bunch of them in a bin and leave a few out.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've done that where we've like gone through their room and put some things in a bucket and then just like stick it out in the garage for like a month because then they're playing with other toys or whatever, and then like when you bring them back after a month, it's like they got new toys.
Yeah.
We've done that as well for we've done kind of like almost like a different variant for that. So what we've done is like at the birthday parties, they would just get so many toys. Do you know what I mean? Like so many toys and coloring things and activities. That's like sensory overload, right?
Yeah.
So my wife would kind of like find the 1 or 2 toys that they were really like after the party disaster is done, right? They haven't unboxed everything, but what are the 1 or 2 things they're really leaning into and really kind of excited about? And we'd let them open those 2 things, and then we would take this pile of toys and things, and we take it to our room, and they were like the rainy day things, right? So I mean, like if it's clothes, obviously it clothes right away, right? But if it's something that's like, hey, if it's a rainy day or like we're really struggling for activities, she can go up there, she can pull out the coloring activity, whatever thing it is, and it's there, right? And then it's available to them. So I was really impressed she did that. And the other thing that we've leaned into, because both my daughters were the first grandchildren in the family, so like they were like wicked spoiled, right? It was disgusting. And to your point, like they'll play with a toy for 30 minutes and then they're done with it for 9 months and then sitting around and you're stepping on it. So what we've done for
How
like
many dolls does a child need?
oh my, we have so many Barbies right now. It's not even funny. Like it's just it looks like something out of I don't know some kind of camp or something. I don't know.
Camp?
I was trying to think of like
I
people
love
who
how you went to camp. Like, there's like a
I was losing what I was thinking, but it was multiple wives.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, like there's Ken and there's like 12 of these Barbie wives. Like I don't know what's going on here.
harem is there.
Yeah. So what we've done is instead of asking for presents, like when everyone's like, "Oh, what do your kids want for Christmas?" We've actually asked about or encouraged experiences. So,
I was gonna
Oh
say,
yeah.
straight
Yeah.
up cold hard cash.
for example, my mom, their nana, for the last 3 years, instead of buying them Barbies and this, and spends that money on theater tickets. And every single
Nice.
year takes the girls out to a theater show. So it's like, I mean, we're not talking like the Book of Mormon. We're talking like, so they're going to see Annie at the end of February. They've seen Beauty and the Beast.
Wicked.
They've actually seen Wicked. And then they do an event where Nana comes down and they go and they pick a dress out together. So that becomes more of that. So we've been encouraging a lot of that to avoid the clutter, but also to create experience, right, as opposed to toys. So that's been interesting for us. Yeah. Jesse Waldeck's finally joined us. Welcome, Jesse.
Yeah, my computer decided it wanted to take its old sweet time and took like 25 minutes to boot up.
Nice.
I need a new computer, and I was hoping it was going to happen this year. It's not happening this year.
Well,
So-
we are 100% one-on-one with Brian. Brian is
Yeah, I feel like
he's a
That's
rock
awesome.
star. He can ask us any question he wants because he's the one to ask. So, actually, I was going to come back to your screen thing though, Brian. So when you're talking about the 30 minutes with your kids, will you still do screen time with them later collectively as a family? So what I mean by that is like, hey, we'll watch a movie on a Thursday night, or we'll play a video game together, or is that like 30 to 40 minutes hard, like then there's no more through the rest of the night?
yeah, no, if and they're getting pretty good at this. They'll get their 30 minutes alone time, and then they'll be like, "Hey, Dad, you want to play some Mario Kart or something?" And
Nice.
then they'll know that I'll say yes. So we've got a unique situation because I'm in class 2 nights a week, and so I don't see them a couple nights of the week. And Friday nights we usually try to watch a movie together. So yeah, there's a couple nights a week where once they get all their stuff done, even though they've done their 30 minutes, or we'll do some Nintendo Land together as a family or whatever. So yeah, that usually doesn't count, against
Sure.
their time.
Yeah.
But yeah, they know how to work the system.
Yeah, I find they're usually pretty smart that way. Like I know we were starting that a little bit too, and wasn't uncommon for my daughter to be like, "Hey, we should play some Splatoon together."
Yeah.
And I was like, "You know how to work this, don't you?"
I'm sure you've already mentioned it before I could get on, but how old are your kids?
I've got a boy that's 6 and a daughter that's 9. So my daughter, she just completed, which I didn't know like there was an end to it, but Happy Home Designer.
There's an end to that thing?
Well,
I
she
think
said she got to a point where there was credits.
I think once you unlock all the buildings, it gives you the credits.
Yeah. So she's big into New Leaf and Happy Home Designer. That's all she wants to play.
Nice. There's nothing wrong
But,
with that at all.
yeah.
What's your? You mentioned before you had a personal question. You had a Nintendo question. What's your Nintendo?
Oh, I was thinking about because I've been kind of bummed. I've been playing along the retro rewinds every month except for this month, and that's because I've just I've never played a Pokemon game. So my question was just going to be like, what's your biggest and maybe you've talked about this before, but like, what's your biggest blind spot?
Oh.
And for me, it's definitely Pokemon because I've never played one of those games before.
Yeah. That's a really good question. So I think for me, if I was to say my current blind spots, because I had blind spots before, I would be honest. About 4 years, I had never played any Zelda game ever.
Oh wow!
Until about 5 years ago. Or maybe even 5 or 6 years ago. Whenever Twilight Princess came out for the Wii. And to be honest, I played like the first 4 or 5 hours of that thing, or no, sorry, the first 10 hours, and I didn't like it. I was like,
Yeah.
why would anyone play this? This is dumb. And it wasn't until I think I ended up picking up another Zelda, like Spirit Tracks or something, on the DS. I was like, oh, these games could be fun. So then I began like reverse engineering and being like, oh, I'll play some of the handheld ones. And then I was like, oh, the Wii U came out, and then I started kind of picking apart the Zeldas, and now so I'm really approaching a lot of the Zelda series in very different angles. But I like right now it's one of my favorite series ever. But I would say that, and actually to be completely honest with you, Pokemon, as I mentioned I think in the last couple episodes, I never touched it. Never touched Pokemon. I'm enjoying it now. And then the big one that's definitely kind of like a geek blind spot for me is actually the Earthbound series. And I know that one's on our docket as well. I've never played Earthbound, ever played Beginnings, Mother 3, any of that stuff. So I'm fresh. That I was never a fan of RPGs growing up. Like I was always the 2D platformer. If it is Mega Man, if it is DuckTales, Super Mario and Donkey Kong, I'm in like Flynn. Right, but if it's the rest of it, I'm like, you're garbage. I'm looking at something upside down. I'm looking at a top-down view of someone walking through a dungeon. What is this? This is garbage. This is lazy. So those are kind of my blind spots. So coming at Pokemon actually this month, and I know that Zach's always been such a huge fan of it. Really kind of made me like stand up a little bit and be like, oh wow, this is really good, and I could kind of see why people would enjoy it. It was just kind of generationally, I was kind of phasing out of that generation as it was coming in. So
it was right at the tail end of the Game Boy, right? So
yeah,
I was too cool for school at that point.
Yeah, for me, I actually, I think I've said before, I was growing up. We had a Genesis, and then eventually got an N64, and I had a friend who had a Super Nintendo. But for the most part, like when people talk about nostalgia for the NES and SNES. That is my blind spot. Like both of those entire things, I'm just like. Whereas Justin, you know, I like so much of my history with Nintendo was on the Game Boy. That was where my love for Nintendo started. And so like going back, like I remember playing like some Super Mario and some Super Mario World, some Donkey Kong Country, and one other Super Nintendo game at a friend's house. Mario Kart. Like those 3 games I specifically remember playing at a friend's house, but other than that, and like a couple of NES games at other friends' houses too, like Mario 3, Duck Hunt, a couple of things like that. But other than that, Excite Bike. Other than that, I never really played. I don't really have the nostalgia for the NES and SNES era because I never played them.
Because you're a jerk.
I know.
And you don't have your case.
I was playing like Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Aladdin for Genesis and Jurassic Park.
I don't even know how we let you in this podcast.
You know what? Yeah, Phantasy Star 2. While you were playing, you weren't playing Zelda, but
you were playing Echo the Dolphin and Altered Beast, right?
Yeah.
No, Echo the Dolphin. My dad loved Echo the Dolphin. My dad tells me a story about how he stayed up until like 4 a.m. playing Echo the Dolphin one time when I was pretty young, and I'm like, dude, that game. I was too young to play that game. That game was a little bit more. I always tried to play it, and it was just like it was too hard and it was too boring for me.
Yeah.
I was like 8 or 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
Aladdin on the Genesis was a pretty sweet game.
Oh, it was awesome. The carpet ride levels.
Yeah.
Where you're like outrunning the lava wave or whatever. Yeah, that was awesome.
And that was interesting because I don't know if you guys remember in the Console Wars by Blake Harris, he mentions that Aladdin was such a showcase game for the actual Sega during that console war as they were transitioning to Super Nintendo, actually, and that because of the way that the graphics were being used in that it was kind of cutting edge. So when they were selling it to some of the not consumers, but like retail shops, that was one of the big things that they were really pushing was this change in graphical output, and they were using Aladdin as a showcase game to do it. And that's why we saw the port come over I think that there was a port of it in for SNES, as I recall, but I don't think it was...
we had it on the SNES, but I had a friend that had it on the Genesis, and I'd go over and watch it on there, and I was like, oh man, my version's garbage.
Yeah. Yeah, and it really was comparatively. Like, it really was.
Yeah, there were some games that were better on the SNES, but definitely Aladdin is better. Is on the Genesis.
Yeah.
I'll even admit to that.
That was a Capcom. I think Capcom did that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I guess, and actually this is
Capcom had a lot of Disney properties back then.
Yeah.
Looking at here, it was Virgin Games on the Genesis, whatever that is.
Mm.
Who was Virgin Games? Who was like? Are they still around in a different form?
Probably not. There's like 3 companies left.
I think they also did Lion King too. Virgin Games.
Yeah, that one, but yeah.
Like,
I think
now does
EA
online
eventually bought them.
When Zach was talking about systems that he kind of had a blind spot, the other blind spot that I completely openly admit is GameCube. I have never played any game in the GameCube generation. I left the I had the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, the N64, the Game Boy, and then I swapped all that in for a PlayStation. And for about 8 years, I was a PlayStation fan. So I had the original PlayStation, PlayStation 2, and then I swapped all of that in and came back into the Nintendo for the Wii, and then the Wii U, DS, and 3DS. So I'm 100% missed one generation, and there's so many. Like, I remember when I mentioned to Josh, I never played Mario Sunshine. I thought he was going to come through the screen and beat the hell out of me.
I've only played a couple of hours of that game.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It would be great. It would be great if they put the GameCube games on Virtual Console on the NX.
I've still got my old hey, what's going on? We've got 2 people finally in a Hangout. Amazing.
Yeah.
I was watching the Final Fantasy event, but I was like, you know what? I can read it later. So.
Yeah, I was watching the end of the Final Fantasy event as I was waiting for my computer to read it.
Wait. Final Fantasy event. What are we talking about?
Final Fantasy 15 had announcements and release date.
Say that again?
Final Fantasy 15 had a crap ton of announcements, including ending with the release date. But there's how Final Fantasy 7 started with the game and then built an extended universe around it later.
Mm-hmm.
This game is starting with an extended universe. There's going to be a 5-episode anime, feature-length CGI movie, a mini game that can be played on your externally from the game, like on your iPhone or Android. I think like a pinballish type of game. The demo for it, a demo, which is a separate storyline, or like a side story. It was supposed to be out on Xbox One and PS4 tonight, and then finally the release date is September 30.
So really, we were competing against Final Fantasy from when we did our Google Hangout, and only 2 people showed up. Really, I mean, that's last time we put that out publicly that we have an event, because Square was just a douchebag.
Yeah. We announced, and then they were like, we're going to compete with them. What happened?
What's really interesting was they had Greg Miller, formerly of IGN, with Kind of Funny, and his friend Tim something. They were the hosts. Yeah, and I kind of like them, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know who they are. Like, it would have been better. I guess it makes sense for having a public face for the event instead of just someone randomly from Square. But they made some jokes, and some of them I kind of liked. Some of them I'm like, I get it. You guys are popular on the internet. Don't need to say it like 20 times.
Yeah.
Like, who are you trying to convince here, us or yourself?
Well, I know Greg just won like Trending Gamer of 2015 and Most Popular Internet Gamer of 2016, and I don't know. It's a popular guy for sure. So, Brian, you were talking the question before, and actually Jesse and we'll ask you this question as well. But Brian, what's your blind spot game? So, what's your blind spot game series system that you never got into, but kind of other than Pokemon?
Well, I started off like my first games were DOS games, and then we had a NES and a SNES and a 64. Actually, probably my biggest system and I was almost all exclusively Nintendo. So, but we never had a Wii, and um, I only got back into gaming just a couple years ago. When we got my kids involved. So I missed the whole Wii revolution because I kind of left. Had played a little bit of GameCube and sort of left that behind. So yeah. Other than Pokemon, I'd say anything on the Wii I probably haven't played.
Nice. Randon, how about yourself? The question was game series or systems that you never got into, but it's kind of like your blind spot.
Blind spot. So until recently, the biggest game, I guess, is my best friend. There's some games that we like together, but he's definitely more of a horror fan, so he's really into like Silent Hill and Resident Evil and all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't until recently when the Final Fantasy Resident Evil 1 remake came out that I finally got to play that series. But one series I've been wanting to get into, but I just haven't because I don't have PlayStation right now, is the Silent Hill series. I think I bought the first one when I had a PS3, but I don't have that PS3 anymore. So I have the game, I just can't play it. But besides other series, I try to, if there's like a series that's popular and like a lot of people rave about it, I try to at least try it. But I guess the biggest, I can't really think of anything huge besides, I never really got into Minecraft. Like, I guess I never understood why it was so popular. I spend hours trying to build stuff, and I'm like, man, I could be doing better stuff and better games. But I can see the appeal for creators, why it's so popular. But for me, I'm not a huge creative person, so I can't like just be put in a world with nothing and make something out of it.
Yeah. Actually, Brian was mentioning the lack of understanding of the value of Minecraft earlier as well. So.
And see, I love Legos, and my kids love Legos. So you'd think, but like for whatever reason, there's just like this disconnect.
Right, and don't they have? I think I saw it on Steam. They had some kind of Lego game that was kind of Minecraft-esque. Like,
oh, really?
it's really interesting. And then of course they have the Minecraft set of Legos.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah. Jesse, what about you for a blind spot? Other than actual good games, like what's your other blind spot?
Wow. Well,
you knew it was coming. You had to know it was coming.
Yeah. A lot of my blind spots are well documented on this show.
Sure.
Minecraft, I've never saw the appeal, though my kids like it, and I even have the rack mount server sitting on the table that when I turn it, it's off because it's loud as hell, the fan. But I have a Minecraft server that can run on there, so the kids can play it on it, and the kids can invite their friends to play on it from out on the internet. So I'm familiar with it. I just not a fan of it myself. And the real-time strategy games, of course, the Fire Emblems, there was a series on PlayStation with a bunch of demons. It's kind of a similar type of thing. I tried it. I'm like, nah, don't like it. And then first-person shooters is probably the biggest one that every once in a while I'll try it, and I'm like, nope. Again, I can't even play Metroid Prime.
Really?
I like every other Metroid game I've ever played. I just can't play Prime.
Did anybody here ever play on? I know you didn't, Justin, because you were a heathen and didn't play any GameCube games. But did anybody here ever play Eternal Darkness?
I tried to,
No.
but
What's that game?
Eternal Darkness: Sanity's Requiem.
Wow.
They tried to do a reboot of it on Kickstarter. It was Silicon Knights were the ones who developed it, or people behind that.
game's famous for its sanity effects.
Yeah, it's very Lovecraftian in the sort of stories, like Lovecraftian, and like you go underground and find this like underground sort of ancient city with like super old god type beings and stuff. It's super cool. I really like it. I haven't played it since, but I I loved that game when it first came out. It was so good.
And yeah, I've never played it. I only have heard of discussions. Like RFN did a retroactive several years ago, so talked about it extensively about it. So some of the sanity effects range from just in-game things like, oh, I think I see something over there, even though nothing's over there, to stuff that breaks the fourth wall. Like it'll look like your volume on your TV is going down. It'll show like the green bars, and then
Really?
and then I think one of them was makes it look like that it's deleted your game save or something.
Yeah.
like
So like it'll say like, are you sure you want to delete? Yeah, like it will give you the option like, oh, you're gonna delete all your save data if that's what you want to do, and they're like, no, you say no, and then it will still show the progress bar of deleting the save data, and you're like, oh crap, what's going on? And then it'll always flash, like a flash to white, and then it'll be like, oh, weird, because basically the whole idea, like, I mean, again, it's a very Lovecraftian sort of idea where it's, the more you learn and the deeper you go, the more incomprehensible it is, and the more it drives you to madness.
Right.
The deep secrets of the world and all that kind of stuff.
That kind of reminds me a little bit. I mean, just the mechanics. That reminds me of Metal Gear Solid 2 for the PlayStation, where I remember like when fighting one of the bosses, you actually had to like pause the game, unplug your controller, and plug it into like the second controller spot.
Yeah, I actually heard about that. I was watching a video of like the top 10 difficult boss fights, and that made the list.
Yeah,
because
it was one of the weirdest things.
Because the boss is psychic, and would actually make comments about the other game saves stored on your memory card.
Yeah.
What?
And so it can read your mind. So the way to get around it is to switch to controller port 2 where your memory card isn't, and then you can beat him.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember because I think that was like my second Kojima apparently.
Well, I mean, as from a player point of view, who was the first person to figure that one out?
I remember because that was I think that might have been that I think like Metal Gear Solid 2 was the game that made me flip over to picking up a PlayStation because it just looked so amazing. And I remember getting that spot. And I like could not defeat this boss. I was talking to my friend at at high school, and I was like, I cannot defeat him. He's like, yeah, you unplug your controller and plug it into port 2. I'm like, I'm sorry, is that just something that happens with PlayStation games? I'm like, because this seems like a shitty system if that's what you do.
Which, by the way, another series I've never played any of the games from.
Really?
Same.
Again, I mean, that's interesting because it's a series that started originally on Nintendo and NES specifically.
Yeah. Right? I did play the original NES game. I rented it, but I didn't understand. I thought it was a run and gun, so I sucked. Yeah. Because run and gun is not what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. So I returned it saying this game's stupid.
I always find it interesting, like where the origin of a game series starts and how it either stays or finds its way through the big consoles, right? Like, do you stay? Mega Man's a great example, right? Mega Man has been a multi-platforms, and now it's kind of dying, and it's hasn't been on the Nintendo platform for quite a while, but then it kind of was in Mega Man 9 and 10 that was on DSi, and now we're kind of seeing a kind of a resurrection of it, but yet it's kind of on PlayStation and a little bit of everywhere. I always think it's interesting the long arc of where a story or a product begins to where it actually ends, 25, 20 years later.
I know a game series that would fit in Justin's list. Is it any puzzle game you don't like, or is it just Picross?
I think I'm pretty good at I think I'm pretty solid at Tetris. Dr. Mario, I'm pretty shitty at. I don't know what he got for me.
No, Picross.
So apparently the Picross game, Jesse, is only like 45 puzzles.
Yeah, I heard it was short, but again, if it's free, I don't care. I'll play through it. I'm sure I'll play through it in less than an hour, because Sarin.
I wonder if that's going to be available tomorrow.
It might be.
Yeah,
as soon as the rest of, I imagine it'll be a launch reward along with the rest of the My Nintendo account stuff.
I saw Randon, you put in our line chat that it hits tonight at 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. Pacific time, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, on the Mitomo web homepage, it says you can still pre-register up until 1 a.m. Pacific on the 31st.
Interesting.
So I imagine that's launch time.
Yeah.
So I pre-ordered, and my 2 oldest kids pre-registered. I mean,
And I saw an email today that went out, or a tweet that went out that says you can, if you're currently on the Japanese site, you can actually convert it over to the English site.
Oh, I can. I kind of figured that was the case because I don't have any sort of. I've tried to register and it basically just won't let me connect my account to a Nintendo account right now. But
it'll probably just let you tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I figured.
You're kidding.
There's an option in the app that allows you to change your country of origin or whatever.
Why? What's going on, Rand? And you look pretty frustrated.
I deleted it today.
Oh, did you?
Or yesterday. I know it's like I've only had me and Tony are the only friends on there because like you have to be following each other on Twitter or be friends with Facebook. Of course, none of my Facebook friends have downloaded it on the Japan shop, so I don't have that much stuff. Like I just kind of got the stuff they kind of give you, and then I won like a cat hoodie and like a cat companion, but I didn't have much stuff. Yeah, and so starting over for me wouldn't be such a huge deal because I only really got into it a week ago. But
that cat you can probably get again. The one that rides on your back is pretty. Oh, they just barely released new things just today. What is this? There is a like the Mitomo drop thing.
yeah,
there's 3 new ones and they're all like baked goods. So there's like a slab of butter that you can have as a hat.
probably tastes good, but probably bad for you.
Like a dress. Okay, there's a dress.
Made of butter.
I think it's a stack of pancakes. So you like a stack of pancakes.
And the necklace is syrup.
Yeah. Actually, they pushed out a.
It's kind of like it's got syrup on it.
Yeah, because they pushed out an update to it today, and the patch notes are added a feature for making friends with friends of your friends. Because before
that patch is out, I should go and get that.
Yeah, mutual friends will now appear in the list of suggested friends. Added the View Online Answers button to the All Answers screen. Changed hashtag and image for sharing an answer to the event version.
What?
That doesn't make any sense. Changed hashtag and image for sharing an answer to the event version.
Oh, I think the event because there's like an event something there's going to be event questions where everybody they're kind of it's like a featured question where everybody answers the same question.
Oh, like everyone votes.
Exactly, like everybody. Well, I mean, it's not like a binary voting, but yeah, basically.
Nice.
And then the ever popular fixed other issues.
General quality of life experience.
Yeah.
I heard one big complaint of the app is just a big memory, big battery draw. So maybe that's one of the issues that was fixed.
I doubt it, but it's possible.
Well, guys, I hate to be the kind of bearer of bad news as I ring the bell here, but we're getting spot on to that 10 o'clock mark, and we've got a guest coming on, so we should probably end it here. But Brian and Randon, I mean, obviously, if there wasn't that PlayStation event, I'm sure this would have been like a full screen, tons of people here. But either which way, we thank you guys for jumping in, and thanks for being Patreon supporters, and hopefully you guys kind of found some value and entertainment in this and fun and enjoy.
Yeah, thanks for making yourselves available.
No worries. We're probably gonna next month look for a time that's not like, right before we record. Probably try and look like a Sunday or something like that, a little more afternoon where more people can jump in. This is a byproduct of course, me being gone for the month and trying to get schedules. And Zach's doing school, which is just a poor choice. We've talked about this.
Don't do it. Don't
Come
go back.
on, Zach.
After you've graduated, don't go back. Like, I mean, to be fair, it's going to pay off eventually.
Jesse and I have had some serious conversations. We're like, listen, a degree in psychiatry or whatever you do, and that doesn't really do a lot for you in life, but this podcast, this is really where you should be concentrating your time right now.
Yeah, go and not that I'm doing it for the money, but go and ask a therapist how much they charge per hour, and then tell me if it's going to be worth it.
You got some starving mouths to feed. So
Yeah.
all right, guys. Thanks for jumping on.
All right,
We
happy
appreciate it.
podcasting.
Absolutely. We're gonna if you want to jump into the YouTube live feed in a couple of minutes, feel free to. We're basically just shut this one down, then open up another one to bring Matt in and start doing a recording with him. So.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Great.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Yeah.
Cheers. Bye.